There are all kinds of fun things going on today. It's the first day of March, which is close to the beginning of spring, and March, of course, is St. Patrick's Day month. So today I thought I would show how to sew this Irish Spring quilt block together. It's really fun, and it's got some interesting curve. It's not just a normal shaped curve, so it's got some unique features to it. And it's a great way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and the arrival of spring. So this is Penny Hallgren from quiltblocklibrary.com and quiltblocklibrary.tv. I'm ready to get started. Thanks for joining us, and let's go to the sewing machine. All the pieces are laid out on my flannel board here, and the first section that I'm going to work on is this section with the curves in it. And you might want to check out and find the video about how I marked these, because I used chalk. You may be able to see that these are not cut very straight, but I chalk marked my sewing lines. So now all I need to do is pin them together, matching my sewing lines on each one of the pieces, and then sew the curves. You can also check out a video on sewing curves, which will show you exactly how to line those up so that you can sew them and they'll lay flat. But the first step here is to sew this curve, and I'm going to sew my inside curve first. Now I've got one side of the stem sewn together, and I'll just go ahead and do the same thing and sew this other side together. Now I've got these two pieces sewn on, and what I would suggest you do is just remember that there is some brown space here. This curved piece looks pretty curved, and when I first tried to match this up, it was like I put here over to here and it didn't match, and I couldn't figure it out, but that's why. So now I'm ready to sew the bottom piece on, and I'm going to lift this up. Now what I'm going to need to do is make sure that I'm matching, because I've got chalk lines here, but this is a raw straight edge, so I just want to be sure to match this all so that it's sewn 1/4 of an inch away from here and it still matches up with the chalk lines. So actually what I ended up doing was taking this piece over to my cutting table, and I cut the outsides here so that they were trimmed 1/4 of an inch away from the inside of my chalk line. That way now I can line up these raw edges as I sew these other patches on, and it makes it a lot easier. And I don't have to worry about the chalk lines and what they're doing. So now I've got this corner patch done, and what I need to do is sew these triangles onto the other corners. And you could see what I did was I cut squares here instead of cutting the weird shapes that are in the pattern. So you could do either one. And then all I'm going to do is line up these corner pieces, the triangles, and I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch away from the triangle. Then I'll be able to fold it so that it's right sides together, or not right sides together. So I'll fold this so that it's right side out, and I'm going to have my corners on each one of these patches. So I'll go ahead and do that for the 3, and then we'll be ready to sew this together. Now you can see all my little corner triangles are sewn on, and all of these patches are ready to sew together as a block. So just one last check to make sure that I've got everything facing the right direction. I've got all my little triangles in the corner, and we're ready to sew this together. So I'm just going to put these right sides together, and I will chain stitch these together, and then it'll be easy to sew the final seam down the center. So now the top 2 patches are sewn together and the bottom 2 are sewn together. All you need to do is flip the bottom ones up and sew the center seam, and then this block is done. Our Irish Spring block is finished and ready for a quilt. I wouldn't call this a beginning quilt block because it does have the curves in it that are a little bit difficult to sew. However, if you have sewing experience, you should be able to handle these very easily. So that's a wrap for this show. Thanks for joining me. This is Penny Hallgren from quiltblocklibrary.com and quiltblocklibrary.tv. If you're not already there, head on over to quiltblocklibrary.com and get your free download of this pattern, and check out all the other quilt blocks that we have available. In the meantime, peaceful piecing.